little bit of a different setup than you're used to seeing in my videos. I'm actually in Whistler right now. I'm filming this on my phone with a very makeshift setup, and I'll be back home when this video comes out. But I actually had a different plan for what I was going to release today, and I have scrapped it because I am very much so rethinking social media. And as someone who has talked about social media for so long, I wanted to share this and just kind of explain what's going on in my brain. And the other day I was on Instagram, as you do, and I asked the question that I always ask. I asked, how are you doing? And it's, usually the responses are, I'm great, I'm so excited, I'm pumped, I'm motivated, I've got so many things going on this week, I'm really stoked, let's do this, boss. And this time I got a lot of that. And then I also got, I am the most anxious I've ever been in my life. I feel overwhelmed. I feel confused. I feel alone. I feel powerless. I feel depressed. I feel angry. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's real. That's honest. And the thing with social media and why I'm rethinking it so much is because if you've ever noticed, let's say on Instagram, when you follow somebody, it'll often say, oh, if you follow this person, you're definitely going to want to follow these people too. And those other people they suggest you follow are basically people with very similar opinions and interests and perspectives, and they're like-minded to you. And so you also do the same thing when you're building an audience on social media. And I talk a lot about the algorithm and playing to the algorithm. And I have realized that there is a huge flaw in that. Of course, you want to use social media to, build an audience and build a customer base and all of these things. But there's one big thing that I think I'm realizing that I have definitely been missing. And that is I've been so focused on appeasing the algorithm and creating content that I know my audience will like. It's been very hard for me to create content that actually matters to me and speaking up and using my voice in a more powerful and impactful way. It's terrifying. And when I did, and I spoke up on Instagram when George Floyd was murdered, and I realized I have a global audience, so maybe you don't know what's going on, but when I spoke up about George Floyd being murdered, and I said, Black Lives Matter, and I voiced my opinion, and I also just wanted to address that to the Black, Indigenous, and people of color in my community. I am sorry that it took me so long to vocalize this, and I'm sorry that this is what it took for me to say something and to speak up. When I did use my voice and when I talked about something that was outside of my lane, I lost the most followers I've ever lost. And I got the most criticism I've ever gotten. And please don't think that that's what I'm talking about right now, because I really, truly don't care. But the flaw that I think came to the surface for me is that if you don't agree, you can't see. So I got a lot of people saying to me, and to be totally transparent with you, a lot of white people saying to me, stick in your lane and you don't talk about politics, you should only talk about social media. And also, just side note, but I never talked about politics. So that says more about you than it does me. And I thought, oh, this is so interesting. The moment that I actually spoke up about something that really matters, and I spoke up as a person instead of this perfect little bubble that I've been put in to talk about the things that you're used to hearing me talk about, that's what led to so much negativity. And that's the danger of social media, because we all live in echo chambers. And I'm used to being in my own little echo chamber with a bunch of people that agree with me and think the same way as me and cheer me on when I say things and give me likes and vanity metrics and all these things, and playing to the algorithm. And there are other groups of people who have completely different opinions than me, and they have their own bubble. And they're saying things, and their communities are like, oh yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. And then my community is saying, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. And this is happening with every single person who has followers online, whether it's 1 or 100,000 or 1 million. And so that's what's causing me to rethink social media and the way that I'm using it. And when I saw those responses from my community to say how much pain you're in, and this is from people of all different backgrounds, and I'm talking Black, white, people from all over the world, I thought, isn't it interesting that there is a certain level of pain in each of these people? And maybe these people don't agree on everything, but I think the one thing that they can agree on is the pain that they're going through. And that is like a really strange common link right now. And I'm seeing so much anger and so much attacking on all sides. And I have had a very small sliver of it, and this is by no means me saying, woe is me, like, please don't think that. That's not what I'm trying to say here. And I realize this is completely unedited, and maybe I'm going to say something that's going to piss somebody off, and that's okay, because it's pretty much the whole freaking point of what I'm saying right now. The link is the pain. The link is the story. And if we could just listen, truly listen, and take in what people outside of our bubble are saying, maybe that's the thing that's ultimately going to create change. And I'm looking at these amazing activists who are in so much pain, and they're using it as their power. They're fueling change. They are being courageous. They're speaking up. They are doing the work that they really don't have to be doing. And the least that I can do is use my platform in a much more intentional and thoughtful way. And I think the thing for me that was my sort of like biggest light bulb moment of this is I watched George Floyd's daughter, and it was just a few days after he was murdered, and she said, my daddy's gonna change the world. And this little girl who just lost her dad and is going through such a trauma and so much pain could speak to the power and turn her pain into power. And I thought to myself, if this little girl can do that, she's my hero. She's kicking my ass to realize that I need to use my voice. And so I am aware that I'm a white woman. I am so painfully aware of my privilege. On June 5th, it was Breonna Taylor's birthday. It was my birthday on June 5th. I'm here. She's not. For sleeping in her bed. Something that I don't even think about on a daily basis. So all of this is to say, your pain, your anxiety, the things that you're feeling right now, that's a sign of maybe what you're supposed to be speaking up about and contributing to and working towards change. And I am saying this to you, but I'm also saying it to me. And so, yes, I am rethinking the way I use social media. Yes, I'm rethinking the way that I use my voice and my platform, and I am working towards courageously and perfectly speaking up more and not worrying so much about what people think and trying to stay in a lane, because staying in a lane is, as I said, dangerous. Yeah. So I know this is like a little over the place, and I'm very aware that maybe this is going to trigger some nastiness. And I accept that. And I'm okay with that, because I would rather lose followers, lose subscribers, and stand in integrity and stand in a change than silence myself to try and appease an algorithm. Thanks for watching. I ask that you choose empathy, because I think with everything that has gone on in 2020, and I know people are like, this has been a cursed year, this has been an awful year. I actually think it's just illuminating things that have been going on for so long that we didn't want to see. And it's disrupting our perfection and our superficial little lives on social media. And I think it's a really great thing. And I think that no matter what, who you are, what background you're from, etc., you have a story to tell. And every single person on the planet right now is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And that goes back to that quote, which is, be kind. For everyone is fighting a battle, a hard battle. And if we can understand that our pain links us and our stories link us, then maybe we can do a better job of supporting one another and supporting those who need us most right now. Thanks for watching. Please don't be a dick in the comments.